My name is Chris Gullo, and welcome to the very first edition of Inside the Shadows. This is the official talk show for the very popular Roku series, Behind the Shadows. The outstanding people of the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society have asked me to host this show, and I am thrilled, folks. They are, bar none, the best paranormal research team in all the country. Tonight, we will be joined by two of their investigators, lead photographer Louie Cafarella, as well as Investigator Lynn Czekaj, and our special guest tonight will be Conor Hawkins. So take a seat and welcome to the very first edition of Inside the Shadows. And welcome, folks, to the very first edition of Inside the Shadows. And we are joined by two members of the cast of Behind the Shadows. First off, lead photographer Louie Cafarella. Thank you, Louie, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We, of course, also have investigator Lynn Czekaj.
I'm so happy to be here.
And a man who's actually was on a couple investigations in this season 4 of Behind the Shadows, Conor Hawkins. Thank you for joining the show.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, folks, we'll get right into it here. I think a big question everybody wants to know this season 4 is, where was your favorite place to investigate? And we'll start with you, Louie.
My favorite location so far this year was at the Hollywood Theater in G.W.N.Y.P.S. when me and Lynn did in the basement. The activity was very, very plentiful.
By far. I mean,
far.
that's going to be both our answers because that place was off the hook.
Yes, very much so.
Now, you guys are a tandem ever since season 1 of Behind the Shadows, and I mean, we've seen the switch-ups with a lot of people on the team, but you two always together no matter what since season 1, and you've seen a lot of crazy things, and you know, what was with you two like being together? What was the crazy experience you guys had? Was it that G.W.N.Y.P.S. Historic Theater?
It's on the top for me. That was awesome.
It had everything.
Yeah, it did.
Except maybe an apparition. I mean, it literally had whispering in our cameraman's ears. We had disembodied voices, like really loud, where I actually thought, who's down here in the tunnel with us? I couldn't understand what they were saying. I think it was because it was such a shock. And then we had the bucket.
The infamous bucket. That made Rebecca jump into you. Remember that?
Yes.
Please tell me your name in this light right I'm holding my hand.
Let's go.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Guys.
Scared the crap out of me.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you, that girl can move pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she's not, taller than me or bigger than me because she would have taken me out. I'm glad that I stood my ground because somehow she went from filming us in front to being behind me, saying, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Like we heard the bucket move.
Never has a bucket been so scary either.
It was just a regular little bucket, like a.
One thing that you have seen probably more than anybody, Lynn, is with Louie, that face. Louie, can you show the crowd that face you make when you hear something a little abnormal in these investigations? Yeah,
that's what I love about this guy.
Hashtag Louie face right
it's
there,
because
folks.
he is so enthusiastic. I don't care if we have done 1,000 shows. If we are blessed to do that many, he is going to still be just as excited to hear an EVP, to see something, to whatever. He's going to be that excited and thrilled. He'll be in the old folks' home with his K2 meter going, is it haunted? And then he's going to be so excited.
You probably get a lot of activity in old folks' home, actually, to be honest with you.
There might be.
We also are joined, of course, by Conor Hawkins. And Conor, you were actually on 2 investigations in this season 4 so far. Which one was your favorite between the Statler City or the Barrel Factory?
Well, I got to be biased to say the Statler, but I think the Barrel Factory was pretty cool too. I mean, the fact that I was getting to investigate with Dan, and I always love investigating with Dan. We have a good relationship. We team well together, and just being able to go in there and talk to some what I believe were Irish spirits and use some of the Irish brogue and to get sort of responses and the names, that was very, very cool because I think that at the Statler I've investigated many times. And I'm probably known to some of the spirits there, so I think I get more responses there when I'm investigating. But to be outside the Statler investigating with these guys was very, very cool, and I get that kind of response at the Barrel Factory.
I do want to touch on Statler though, because obviously a very historical building, a lot of history, and one of the big things that with you in the investigation was Mary Jane, the spirit of Mary Jane, a young woman who committed suicide there. Now, obviously you guys had an experience with her, but let me ask you, because you're at the Statler every day, have you experienced her since then?
In that area, we've got EVPs and we've got some voices in the spirit box, but I don't believe we've actually connected with her. There's more spirits, there's a lot of spirits at the Statler, and sometimes there's some that come through very clear and there's some that don't come through very clear. You know, at the Statler we get Carl, Steve, Bob, Phil. There's another lady whose name escapes me right now, but not too much Mary Jean.
And folks, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're actually going to go live to the haunted Hinsdale House with case manager Dan Klaes, as well as psychic medium Chelsea Gill, next on Inside the Shadows.
Hey everyone,
Hi everyone,
this is Dan, this is,
Chelsea.
and we are live at the Hinsdale House.
We're doing a ghost tour. There's about 40 to 50 people here today, getting some really good action.
We are answering some questions, and we are giving a shout out to our teammates that are filming Inside the Shadows up in Buffalo. Wish we could be there with you guys, but unfortunately these people that want to have this tour wanted to come and check out this house and get some answers, and we have been splitting up. We've been getting a lot of activity up here tonight, from EVPs.
To
Chelsea
K2.
just had amazing K2 action down by the pond.
A lot of
To the
action.
point where she's actually frightened to go down. No, I'm just kidding. She's not frightened. She's not frightened to go down there. She's going to take the next group down there. But we have another round of tours. We just wanted to say hello to everybody. In about 15 minutes, it's go again. So we're just taking a quick break. Again, everybody in Buffalo, all of our friends that are filming, we miss you. And we will see you soon.
Bye everyone.
See ya.
Wow, that was awesome, guys. The famous haunted Hinsdale House, actually owned by Dan Klaes, and it has been seen on Paranormal Lockdown, the famous show on Destination America. And I gotta say, folks, you all have been there. Louie, you've had quite a few experiences there, so has Lynn.
Yes.
But Connor, have you actually been at the Hinsdale House?
Yeah, I investigated it too. It's a great place.
Okay.
I don't want to go back. It's a great place.
Do or you
No,
don't?
well,
I don't want
Oh,
to
you
go
don't
back.
want to
Why,
go.
why don't you want to come
That's
back? I mean,
probably
do you don't want to ruin your shoes, or is it?
Well, I found these shoes at the Statler. I think Elvis left them. No, I don't want to get back because it was very active and it was kind of a long drive too, and it was snowing and it was a long night. But I had some really great stuff happen to me out there. I mean, I was there with Kevin and we were investigating, and we went upstairs, came back down. There was a magazine that was on a table. It's on the floor now. I did a session, an EVP session and a spirit box session, and I hear this Indian chanting, and I didn't know anything about the house, but what I heard, I mean, there's been other stories of that too, I guess. So, it's very active.
Obviously, the famous haunted Hinsdale House, a big part of the Greater Western Paranormal Society, actually being owned by the case manager Dan Klaes. We'll start with you, Louie. What was your favorite experience at the Hinsdale House?
Probably, this is actually going back to Dan even before he purchased the house, okay? I take the pictures for the team, okay? So usually after an investigation, after, we investigate and build up energy in the place and whatnot, I'll go in and I will snap pictures. So I'm in the kitchen of the Hinsdale House and I'm taking pictures towards the steps. And I'm snapping several pictures, and one of the pictures there, on the steps, there's a pair of legs coming down the stairs. As soon as I took it,
That would scare. I mean,
I did
usually
the face.
seeing legs are nice, but
Yeah, usually
not in that situation. It's not like it's Lynn's legs,
Yeah,
you know.
no,
It
no,
was
of course not.
scary legs, right?
I did the face, of course, when I seen it, and I said, "Look at this! Look at this!"
Hashtag Louie face, guys. Remember,
Yeah.
make it trend. Lynn, your favorite experience in it?
Probably my favorite experience isn't even ghost related. When Paranormal Lockdown was filming there, I actually got to be the girl hanging from the tree. You'll see me as a brunette, and you'll see my feet swinging. And one of the interesting things is they had me actually, for some of the shots, they had me hanging from this bar. Well, I have no upper body strength whatsoever. So they're like, oh, just hang there and then we'll film. I'm like, no, you have to get your cameras ready because it takes a while to get things ready. You have to get it ready, and when you're ready to film, like that second, then lift me up to hang, and then you can swing me because you've got like a minute tops, and then I'm down. So that was interesting. I mean, it was kind of neat.
So an actual plan hanging out like the Wizard of Oz.
Right, right.
All right, well, folks, we're actually going to take another break here, and we got some really cool coming up here. We're actually going to take a phone call from a fan. So stay tuned for Inside the Shadows. And we're back here for Inside the Shadows, and as promised, we got a really cool thing we're going to do here. We are actually going to take a phone call from a fan of Behind the Shadows, folks. So let's get that phone call in. I believe we have Sue from Cheektowaga. Thanks, Sue, for being on.
Hi, thank you. My call is actually for Lou. I was wondering, with all the investigations that he has been on, if he's ever been really, really scared, and which one was the scariest?
Well, I can probably narrow it down to a couple, but if I had to hand pick one, it was probably I think it was the second one we've ever been on. It was at the Buffalo Naval Park. We were investigating the ships there, and a couple investigators and myself were going down a set of stairs. And as we were going into the room where two other investigators were waiting for us, we heard a growl. It was a very loud, guttural growl, and it stopped us in our tracks. It made the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I can still hear that in my mind, and it scares me to this day. It's just how evil it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, hearing a growl no matter what, but if it's a growl from a spirit, an apparition, that's got to be really scary.
Usually the ghosts love Louie.
Yeah,
they're very frisky and very effective.
I don't know if they all like Louie, and we saw in the Statler, there's one that likes to throw rocks at Louie, so I don't know if they all like Louie.
That's when she's not with me. When she's with me, I mean...
Well,
so they like Lynn, then they don't like you, Louie.
No, they're getting possessive.
So hashtag ghosts don't like Louie. Maybe we can make that one trend as well, folks. All right, well, thank you, Sue, for calling in the show.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there you have it, Sue from Cheektowaga, our first ever fan calling in here for Inside the Show. It's very cool.
We did.
While I have you guys here, you don't want to kind of talk about the fellow cast and crew here. Obviously, you guys are integral parts, but I want to talk about, well, how about lead investigator Cameron DuBois? Now, being a lead investigator, obviously, it's in the title, but what else does Cameron do that maybe the fans don't see, maybe behind the scenes? Because obviously he's integral and he's hosting the show and asking the questions, but what else does he do?
In the beginning, when I first started investigating, I was kind of scatterbrained, because I was so excited to do it. I still bring that excitement now, but it kind of has a direction now. When I first started, I was all over the place, and he kind of showed me how to hone my skills, so to speak.
Makes us a family. He really does.
Yeah.
Without him, we wouldn't be where we are. And there's such a love, amongst our group, and we would do anything for each other.
Right.
That you can't even describe or put it's priceless. It's priceless. Oh, and he brings us ice cream sometimes.
Yeah, he brought us ice cream.
The Margin Manor.
Yeah.
We got to do an ice cream run, and he brought.
That's
surprised me with ice cream.
You weren't on that one.
I
know what you were saying.
Give you ice cream. Why don't they give you ice cream?
Yeah, because I'm Irish.
Yeah, that's
we brought Sundays
what if they brought
back
you
for
whiskey?
everybody.
There you go. All right, that sounds good. Actually, I want to ask you, and you guys can follow up, but I want to ask Connor, Dan Klaes, you said you loved doing investigation from him. He's the case manager, but I mean, where does he find these places? Obviously, he got in touch with you, but some of these are I didn't even know these places existed, yet know their history and a rich history in Western New York. Where does Dan, being the case manager, find these places?
I don't know how Dan has time for a wife and kids and a job, because he seems to be doing so much work for his crew and his Hinsdale House, and obviously he goes all over the country and does some stuff with a paranormal. I'm glad that he got in touch with me, and I'm glad I kind of reached out to him, and the Statler's been great. I mean, it's so educational. With Dan and Cameron coming in, it's just not about doing investigations. It's about revealing the history, and these guys just don't come in and they try and find out if there's ghosts in a place. they do so much background work, and you know, they try and dig so much stuff up. I mean, it's like I didn't know about Mary Jane committing suicide, jumping off the 8th floor of the Statler. I mean, this stuff was brought to me by the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society. They did all the investigation stuff, so that's really, really cool.
And a lot of that history we can thank our paranormal historian Kevin Schmitz.
Yeah, I was just going to mention
because he's off the hook. He's very thorough and kind of stuff that we learn. But getting back to Dan does not sleep. That's the secret to his success. We were at Scarefest and he literally, I think he slept 5 hours.
Yeah. No, he goes Facebook Live every hour in the hour.
Might be an
so
alien. I don't know. We might
probably
be able to uncover
is
something in a future episode of Inside the Shadows, because I don't know how he does it, but
maybe the first alien investigation is Dan an alien. Coming to season 5, guys.
We should mix it up a little bit.
I want to ask about one more cast member here before we take a break. A new cast member, and it's been very big for the show. Psychic Chelsea Gill. She has quite a few experiences so far in season 4. What are your guys' thoughts on Chelsea and really what she's done for the show? Because it's been huge.
Chelsea is incredible.
Cool. Yeah, if we're doing Houston, we love Chelsea.
Yeah, she's awesome. She just brings so much. Actually, the first time I ever seen Chelsea work was at the Hinsdale House. I was supposed to be running the group with her on this tour, and I wasn't because I was just focused on her, and I've never seen the way she worked the crowd. It was incredible. Everyone's jaws were dropped, things that she was pointing out, and then she knew. And I was supposed to be helping her, and I couldn't because I was just like, this girl's incredible. She's awesome.
She's a ray of sunshine. She really is, our little Chelsea. And she's the most amazing psychic. She'll kind of tend to, like, what people don't see on the camera is when we're sitting there in between takes and doing our investigations, she'll kind of give you like a little mini read. Yeah. And so you go, what are you talking? Like, really? And it's kind of interesting because she's right on top of it.
She's awesome.
She knows
Incredible.
things that she shouldn't know.
Super
talented. It's been great investigating with her, and I've had the pleasure of doing it on the show when we investigated the 8th floor. And one time she scared the life out of me because a bit of wood just fell and she jumped, and because she jumped, I jumped higher. And but it was okay.
Well, guys, when we get back from the break, we're going to ask the Twitter poll question. Do you think religion has a place in paranormal investigations? That question will be answered when we get back on Inside the Shadows. Welcome back to Inside the Shadows, and we asked you that question on Twitter. Do you think religion has a place in paranormal investigations? Of course, the Twitter for the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society is G.W.N.Y.P.S. I'll start with you, Lynn. I mean, the question has been asked. Do you think religion has a place in paranormal investigations?
Wow, we're really jumping into some deep questions here, and I have a feeling that it's gonna be very divided, and what people think about that.
It's the first edition of Inside the Shadows.
Yeah, so
let's
just dive right in. That's interesting because I want to say that when people think of paranormal, I mean, what comes to mind is maybe like The Exorcist, the movie with the head spinning, and Catholic Church and things like that. And so I think it's always had a place, in the paranormal. But when you think about it, I mean, we're, ghost hunting and investigations are across the world right now. I mean, we're investigation. We just did with Brian Cano the world's largest ghost hunt, National Ghost Hunting Day, the first ever out of Great Britain and Australia, Ireland, the United States, all over. And that encompasses a lot of like religion, and also people who are just spiritual or who don't necessarily believe but are trying to figure out what's going on. Something's going on, they just don't know what. So I want to say, it's fine, it has a place, but also it's not maybe necessary. I'm maybe causing some more controversy, but I think it's up to the individual investigator what they want to bring into the investigation, whether they want the the St. Michael protection, right. Whether they believe in angels. As our group, we usually try to do some protection when we go in, and then definitely when we go out, so that nothing follows us home, because we do run into some darker entities. So I think I'd like to personally kind of leave it open-ended to the viewer and how they want to do it.
Louie, your answer?
Well, just to touch on what she said, I mean, yes, I mean, I do think it is part of it. I make it part of it. You know what I mean? But it's not necessary at all. Like because there's atheists out there and agnostics and things, and if you don't necessarily have a religion or believe in a higher power and all that, you can still investigate. You know,
we don't really know.
Who knows such things?
We don't know.
And we'd be arrogant to think that we did. You know what I mean? That's why we do what we do. It's just
why we're so excited, because we're on the cusp of finding out new answers. Every time we go into a new location, we hope that we find out something new, or maybe understand just a little bit better.
Connor, what's your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, I would like to think that religion's got something to do with it, you know, just for my own peace of mind, because when I'm investigating, you know, and if I encounter a demon, I like to think that they can be taken care of by maybe some prayers and holy water. So I think it's just a personal feeling, peace of mind.
If you think about it, where do people, is there a heaven or all that? That's a big question. And I like to kind of think there's two things going on. I mean, when I think religion, I don't really think spirits that kind of have unfinished business or spirits that are kind of just lost, trailing. I think of like demons. And are those two different worlds in the Paranormal Research Society? Like, and also too, when it comes to it, it's not just Catholicism. This isn't the Exorcist. Like, I mean, there's shamans, you know, rabbis. I mean, there has been, every religion has some type of spiritual connection with, you know, the afterlife.
I was told by someone who's very well respected in the demonology field, and their belief, and I'm not even sure if I believe this or not, I'm still kind of figuring and sorting out what I do believe, that ghosts can't touch you, ghosts can't scratch you. If you are feeling that, that's a demon. That, because they're the ones that can bring up that amount of energy to be able to interact with, you know, our world, our plane. So I don't know, but I you know, some of the touching, it seems, you know, gentle, like a cap or you know, a brush, you know, like little kids or maybe animals. So there's a lot of different schools of thought out there, and I bet everyone who's watching this today has their own personal opinion of what that is too. So and they're probably going, she's crazy.
Well,
what is she talking about?
What we just said.
Do you think though, because a lot of spirits that you're trying to connect with are old world spirits, you know, we're talking 1700s, 1800s, 1600s, even further than that, where religion played a big part. I mean, we could even talk about you kind of the Barrel Factory. I mean, Catholicism was probably a giant part of those people's lives. So maybe even having that involved in just helps you connect to the spirits.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, you know, Ireland being a very Catholic country, and people coming across there out of hunger and trying to make a better life in the United States, and in this Buffalo area, I mean, it's very much a Catholic area too. You know, I think that, I don't think that what Lynn was saying, I don't think that, I agree that there's not demons out there. Every single spirit is a demon. I don't believe that. I mean, I see spirits dancing and liking the music, and I've had my hand gently touched, but I think it's more of comfort. I think people kind of spirits just kind of want to relate.
Well, the Statler ghosts love music.
Yeah.
We get them all excited and interacting when we play some old time
The
jazz.
answer's in from our fans, and 65% have said yes. So 65% of the people out there do believe that religion has a place in paranormal investigation.
I'm not even sure what we said. I think we played both sides of the fence.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to wrap this up here on the very first episode of Inside the Shadows. Welcome back to Inside the Shadows, and wow, I mean, that question, I still can't get over it here, but we do have to wrap up things here, but I do want to ask a couple more questions. This is going to be a question for Louie and Lynn. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but really, what makes you two tick together? Like I said, you're the only combination of investigators who have been together since the beginning of Behind the Shadows. Like, why do you choose to stay with each other, and, you know, what helps each other in these investigations?
Well, I think part of the reason is when I first started, you know, I was very enthusiastic about ghost hunting and learning how to do that correctly. I think Louie was probably the most tolerant of any mistakes. Not that you can really make mistakes, but just for example, when we're doing our EVP sessions, I get excited and I wouldn't allow like enough time for an answer to come through. I'd already be, I got another great question. So, you know, I'd be like, you know, wait, give us a little bit more time and stuff. So I think he was very patient with me in showing me the ropes, and that was part of it. And then really, we didn't put ourselves together. It was really Cam that did it. So that's probably like a great question for him, because he saw something in us that worked really well together. And I love everybody on the team, and I do investigate occasionally with other people, but I always like coming back to him, because we always just seem to, I don't know what it is, if it's the energy or what it is, we get great evidence and crazy things happen. So
play off each other really well. You know what I mean? I think maybe he just wanted a blonde and a brunette.
Well, you wouldn't be my choice of brunette, Louie. I can tell you that. I'll start with you on this question, Connor. You've enjoyed them for a few investigations. What do you want to investigate next?
Well, I would like to investigate
Anywhere we go.
Yeah,
Right.
Always investigate with these guys is a lot of fun. Obviously, I'd like to do it at Hinsdale again, even though it's a far drive. I'm eager. I just want to get there and investigate. I mean, I've enjoyed investigating for the last couple of years now. Statler is such a big building. It's 950,000 square feet, and I have tours scheduled there every Monday evening. So there's still so much of that building that I haven't investigated yet, so I still want to do that. I do want to probably investigate some of the naval ships down there at the naval park. 'Cause I haven't been there before, and maybe the Sullivans. It's got that Irish connection. Maybe I'll get with some results there.
We don't let just anyone investigate with us, and we will have him anytime, and I'm sure all the team members will say that.
So what do you guys want to investigate next?
What do you think?
well, I don't
Dracula's castle.
Oh, well, yeah, if we're gonna go overseas.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, is Cam gonna watch this? Because let's.
Could you imagine
it'll be fun.
going to Romania? I mean,
I actually want to go to Trans-Allegheny.
That would be cool.
We are chomping at the bit to do our next out of town road trip, because those are a blast. Those are so fun. So that would be great. That would be my choice.
That'd be awesome.
It's been a great season so far on Behind the Shadows, and we got to cover that first half right here on Inside the Shadows, and we're going to be back when the season ends to do this again, and it'll be a good time. Of course, I want you guys to check out the Twitter page for the Greater Western Paranormal Society, Facebook, YouTube, of course, the Paranormal Reality channel on Roku. I'm Chris Gullo. I want to thank you to Lyft for having us here in the studio space, and we'll see you next time on Inside the Shadows.